All right, we made it. Good morning, everybody. Sorry about that. It couldn't be helped today. Something went wrong. um, yeah, my wife had to get to the airport, and the Uber driver canceled on us, and so I had to save the day, and so that's what happened. Oh man, this cup's not working with my green screen. Oh well. Sorry about that, guys, but sometimes things happen. I'm glad we could still do it. So, whew. All right, now I got some catching up to do, don't I? What have you guys been talking about this whole time? Oh, goodness. Let me do something. I got some plumbing to take care of here. I've got to start the Rumble stream too. I didn't even get it set up because of all this craziness. So let me do that real quick. Oops, let's see here. I want to do this like this. And I got a couple things. So go ahead and put your topics or discussion points in the chat. And then we got two things going on at once while I'm trying to figure all this out. All right. Okay. Sorry. Kind of scattered. There we go. There's our chat back. Okay. Now get Rumble going. Go live. You did that. Do this. All right. Do this. Oh, there's a lot of steps to this stuff. Yes, yes. Start. All right, now Rumble is going. Now we're all there. Okay. All right, now I'm going to catch up on you guys' chat. So let's see what we're doing here. I'm going to have to scroll all the way back up to the top, see what all I missed, because there might have been stuff up here too. I see everyone saying good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Gerald, Julia, John, Big Boy, Kelsey. So good to see all you guys. B. Murph. All right. Kelsey, you said Philip Smith told you to leave his Facebook group. So you've already had a lot going on this morning. Wow. I don't know. I don't think I know Philip Smith, but maybe I'll check into him. Let's see. All right. Ooh, John Jones, you got called some names recently. That's not good. I try not to call names, although I will say this, guys. Like last week, I've given a lot of thought to what happened with the person who was on the stream, could be on the stream now, with the name Salahin. And then when we went into Islam discussion, it got a little back and forth, right? And I feel like I could have handled some of that better. But with the information I had, because I couldn't see all of his comments, I couldn't see his final couple comments or so, apparently. I didn't understand fully what he was all about. I didn't get it, right? So that to say, Salahin, if you are listening, in a way, I apologize for letting it escalate like that. And I wish I had a chance to better understand where you were coming from. That's all. So I just thought I'd say that. All right. So let me see here. I'm continuing to go through your chats, guys. By the way, I had an interesting contact just in the past couple days from another YouTuber that seems to be, he has a Christian-based channel, seems to be opening up to the ideas of historical fulfillment and what happened in the first century. And he has asked me if I'd be interested in doing a collaboration podcast or video with him. And so I just responded to him this morning on that and gave him an affirmative if we can work it out. So there may be something fun coming in the future for that. We'll see. I like collaborations, and I'm pretty open about who I'll collaborate with, as long as they will treat me well and do a format that I'm okay with. And also, one of my conditions, by the way, is that I am able to record everything we do together and use it in my own work if I feel led to do so. And so if those conditions are met, then I will do the stuff. And that protects me, so that if they go off and chop up what we did and edit it so that it looks like I said something I didn't, then I can go back and debunk using the same footage. So anyway, I hope it works out, and I don't expect any of that kind of stuff, but I'm just telling you kind of how I roll and the reason I do that stuff. All right. Stacia, good morning to you. Monica Hayes, good morning to you. Southern Belle. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was slow getting here. All right. Judy Berry, good morning. Rafa Seabird, to you. Good morning. Squiffy Bear, of course. Thank you for being here. And Rick Bowser, thank you for letting everybody know I was coming in. Just took me a second. Let's see here. Yeah, let's see. Judy Berry, you mentioned the movie Christspiracy. I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put that up at least in my notes so I can see what that is. Maybe we'll briefly look at it today and see if we can figure out where what it's about. You know, and maybe Judy, if you have more information, I'd be interested in that too. Okay, let's see here. We could do some more horse candy if we want. But I'm sitting right here, but I don't know if there's a need to continue doing it online on stream every week, Let's see here. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm getting my notes ready, guys, to receive your topics. So I'm getting there. Oh my goodness. All right. So let me put that on there. Okay. So I finally got that set. All right. What else we got, guys? Drudge Jed, good morning to you. Watch the movie Courageous. It's a good one. Yeah, I liked the movie Courageous. I mean, those guys who make those movies, they are good at jerking the tears, Sometimes I think their stuff's a little over the top, but they have an interesting movie that came out kind of before. What was the first one that got a lot of recognition? They had Courageous. Before that, it was was it The Love Dare? Is that what it's called? The one with James Cameron. And then before that, those same guys that did those movies have a movie called Flywheel that I saw and I thought was also interesting. It's a pretty good movie. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff from those dudes. Let's see. Whew, man, you guys had a lot going on here. Big Boy, you ask, what do people think of Donnie Darko? Or Donnie Darkened? Is that a part? I don't know of Donnie Darkened, but I know of Donnie Darko. Let me see. There now your chat there is on my screen. But you say he seems to have a good point overall, but he's a futurist and factors heavy into his claims. That factors heavy into his claims. Okay. I don't know, I guess, who Donnie Darkened is. That's my problem. All right. What else we got? Selene, good morning to you. I see you on there now. Rick mentions the book The Invisible Rainbow, I think. And it's one that he mentioned to me recently too. We're going to look at that and start to learn more about what that book's about. I don't know a whole lot yet. Armored Raven, good morning to you. It's good to have you here. All right, now I'm about to catch up here, guys. About to catch up. Tomcat, you mentioned been hearing about the red calf prophecy lately. Was that a Christian prophecy for futurists or Jewish prophecy the Christian futurists used to fulfill their prophecy of the third temple rebuild? Yeah, Tomcat, I want to do that as a topic today. I think the red heifer. Let's do the red heifer. And it's because I had someone ask me about this week, you know. Heifer. I think I spelled heifer right. Tomcat, red heifer. And I think some of you guys think it's not that. I think it's that. Okay. You guys may be able to help me with the red heifer because I believe it may be, Tomcat, like you're saying, that the Jews came up with the red heifer prophecy, so to speak. So we'll look into it. We'll look into it together. Maybe that'll help us all. Okay. So that's a good one. Tanda, you read some negative info on Martin Luther in the past, and you assumed it was put out by the RCC. Just saw a video with Justin Peters defending him and Michael Brown denouncing him. Do you have any more info on this? I don't. You know, some of this, guys, I just want to say, it's hard. I'm finding that it's hard for me to stay on top of all the new stuff and stay on top of my stuff at the same time. So sometimes I'm behind you guys. Maybe that's something we can work on here, is I'm a little behind you guys with some of the topics and info that you are hearing about, because you're hearing things, you're looking at other things out there too. So I appreciate that. But Kelsey, you said you would love to hear me collab with JT Follows JC and Alpha Talks. Well, Kelsey, you may get your wish, because one of the ones who reached out to me is JT. So we may have that happen in the future here. I don't know about Alpha Talks. I haven't talked to that person yet. But it's interesting you mentioned that. I don't know if someone mentioned me to him or something, but that's interesting. Yeah, JT, I just briefly looked at his stuff this morning, and he looks like a pretty good dude. So I was kind of excited that that might work out. Oh, Julia Thomas, you say you heard JT Follows JC talking about me. I see now. And that's apropos, since I guess it's all coming full circle now. So yeah, he's the one I'm talking to. We'll see how it works out. I hope something good works out. Okay. Sun Sparkle, good morning to you. I see here you said red heifer stuff. Everyone should look for mid-2000s series called Dig. Interesting. I'm going to take that as a note. Take that as a note. Okay. Trying to speed things up, guys. Trying to get there. Yes, I did, Kelsey, hear that Candace what's her face? Candace got fired from the Daily Wire. I did hear that. I think it's silly, crazy. Candace, doggone it, what's wrong with my brain? But yeah, I heard about that. And Sons of Sparkle, you mentioned the Sons of Light, and I was not at this point referring to Sons of Light with anything I've said so far, but I do know what you're talking about. Okay. All right. Now I am caught up. Yes, Candace Owens, guys. Yes. I don't know why I can't think of names when I want to. All right. Okay, the red heifer seems to be some interest here, so I think that's good. Advice on how to love your neighbor even when they are vile. Okay, homemaker calling. I can try. I hope I'm good at that. I hope I'm a good person to ask that question. But I can try. I can talk about it. We can talk about it. You know, that's what we can do. You know, I saw an amazing video, really good video today. Well, let me see if I can find it really quick. Yeah, it's gonna be up here. It's right here. Here it is. This video was really good, and it's I'll show it to you real quick here. Not the video, but just, you know, you can see it. This video that I ran across as I was going through Telegram channels. This lady, it must have been obviously on TikTok. She did a really good job just explaining the feeling of feeling alone because of things you feel like you understand and know that nobody else seems to be able to either understand or want to talk to you about. You know, I just thought she did a really good job explaining, and it's something that a lot of us have dealt with for a long time. You know, when you're learning new things and breaking out of the molds that you've been in, you know, especially molds that many of us have been in, you know, we start to realize that, well, not everybody's breaking out of that mold, and I can't talk to many people about this. I can't, and it immediately made me think of what we do here, guys, each week. And I was excited because I'm like, well, at least we've got this, you know, we can talk about things. And I feel like even though probably a lot of us are on the same page about a lot of things, there's a lot of things that that we're not on the same page about, but I think we still are able to come together and at least chat, talk about the things, and feel like there's other people out there wrestling with it. You know, it's so important. I hope you guys feel that way too. But I saw that video and I was just like, this lady is so well describes this, and it's so heartfelt. She's being so honest. So anyway, just to say, if you run across this video, take a moment, listen to it. She's got a good way of explaining what she feels here, and then that I think a lot of us feel in a lot of ways because of what, you know, all the things going on, all the eyes being opened right now, all the things we're all learning. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. Just came into my brain. Let's see. Turn that back off. Deborah Miller, good morning to you. Arkelio Alicia Vega, it's good to see you this morning. You say you'd like to thank me for the information I provide. You used my presentation about I'm a Christian with a small group on Friday. It was amazing. Thank you again. Oh, no problem. Thank you for using my stuff. And I mean, I'm excited to hear that. That's an encouragement. So thank you, Arkelio. If I'm saying your name 100% right, I hope I am. That's awesome. Karen Morgan, good morning to you. Laura Masood, you have a topic. My thoughts on the term Judeo-Christian. Oh, that's a good one, Laura. I like that. You always come up with really good ways of, you know, making topics that are poignant. I just love it. Okay. All right, because of the time, guys, because I took so long to get here and get going, I think we will go ahead and get started with the topics, and I'll forego the announcements and all that stuff. Apologies for being late this morning. In the way of announcements, all I'll say is I've continued my work this week. I did release that video this week about Lot and his daughters and the situation that occurred when these angels come to Lot's house in Sodom. And then, of course, you know the story probably, but the angels strike the men with blindness that are coming to try to rape them. However, in the midst of this whole thing, Lot offers his daughters to the men outside as essentially for sexual gratification. And so I think that it's a good video. It goes over some possibilities that maybe we haven't all thought of. And I thought it came out really well. So I was really happy with that video. But that was done. And then the rest of my time this week has all been spent on Islam because of my second video in the Cataclysm of Rome series called The Rise of Islam, or The Origins of Islam. Not sure how I decided to name it. Let me just say that if you have ever seen anything about Islam, you will have seen some of the stuff in this video. But I think there's some things in this video that I was 100% unaware of before I did this research and are pertinent. They are extremely important to the whole narrative of what Islam is and where it came from and what it was for. This is going to be a good video. That's all I can say. I've got all the material ready. I am about to just review it one more time as a script and make sure I can speak it well and that it flows right. And after that, I'm going to record it. So I believe this video will be out this week because honestly, usually once I record these things, I'm so excited to get them edited and finished that happens really fast because I'm like, I got to get this done. It's awesome. So that's going to come out this week sometime. Cataclysm of Rome, Part 2, The Origins of Islam. And it's going to be good. So that's all I'll do for announcements. Let me pray really quick to get us started, and then we will go ahead and get into the topics. Father in heaven, I pray to you this morning. I thank you for all these people that have waited so patiently to get started this morning. And thank you that I was able to make it back in time enough to get some of this going. And Lord, thank you for the topics that have been mentioned already and for those that mentioned them. And just help us to do our best with them, Lord. That's all we can hope for. We're going to do our best to research together, to talk about these things. And Lord, help us find some truth in that. And we give you the glory for this time and this day. And it's in the name of your Son, Jesus, that I pray. Amen. Thank you, guys. All right. So this one's going to be fun today because these topics, let's see. Let's see how I want to reorder these things. Let's see here. Will this work? Sort of. Yeah. Okay. There's my topics. Get that thing out of the way. That's pretty good. All right. So Judy Berry mentioned the movie Christspiracy. I think that'll be somewhat short. We just talk about it, and maybe I'll find something online about it, see if I can learn a little more, and we can all learn a little more about that movie. Tomcat mentioned the red heifer. A few of you have talked about that, and then the third temple. So I kind of put that on there as like red heifer, third temple. Wherever that takes us, we're going to learn about the red heifer and try to talk through some of that today. Tanda mentioned, let's see. Oh, I think I kind of put this as a note. I don't know if there's anything to talk about here, Tanda. So let me move this down here. Okay, so then Homemaker Calling, you mentioned advice on how to love your neighbor even when they are vile. Yes. And Laura Masood, the topic of my thoughts on the term Judeo-Christian. Oh, that's good. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to reorder slightly. I think we'll do this order. So we'll do Judy's, then Homemaker Calling, then the Red Heifer for Tomcat and everybody else, and then Laura, yours on Judeo-Christian, because it'll dovetail onto the end of that perfectly. Yeah, so that's what we'll do today, if that sounds good with everybody. Okay, first topic, movie Christspiracy. And we're just going to look this bad boy up, learn a little bit about what this is, because I don't know about this movie. So let's do this. And let me get my browser up. We'll start exploring a little bit. And if you, Judy, or anyone else has any information about this movie, go ahead and put it in the chat so we have a little context. That's going to help us. All right. Movie Christspiracy. Get your tickets March 20th and 24th. Christspiracy, the Spirituality Secret documentary about religion and animal cruelty, scores March release date. Oh boy. Oh boy. What is it talking about then? The latest documentary from Kip Anderson and Cameron Waters. So first of all, let's do this. Kip Anderson, what else did he do? Apparently he's done some documentaries here. He did Cowspiracy, The Sustainability Secret, What the Health, Seaspiracy, and Treespiracy. Okay, so I'm already getting a sense of kind of who this guy is, the kinds of things he does. Obviously, he thinks we're destroying our trees. I think he thinks we're destroying our seas and our health, which I would agree with that in some regards. This sustainability secret, I'm not even sure what that means. But anyway, so we can see kind of where his head is. So let's go back over here and see if we can learn about this movie. They take on a philosophical journey to find out the truth in relation to Jesus and the animals. Joaquin Phoenix said in a statement about it that the film explores the answers from many of the world's religions and exposes unforgiving truths about animal cruelty in the name of religion. Okay. All right. A 2,000-year-old cover-up, which the press calls plausibly the most significant new discovery about Jesus Christ in the last 2,000 years? Okay, well, at least my interest is piqued, but I'm very skeptical about where this is going to head, right? I'm very skeptical, I guess you could say. The documentary asked the question, is there an ethical or spiritual way to kill an animal? Yeah, that's interesting. So I'm assuming they're going to kind of go towards probably tearing apart the Jewish practices of sacrifice in the temple and all that. And probably try to say how horrible and vile and terrible it is. And then probably try to wrap Jesus Christ into it for the sole purpose of tearing Christianity down as well. You know, I know exactly where it's gonna go. So I'll probably watch it, and I probably won't be surprised. But yeah, maybe there'll be some interesting things in there. We will show, according to these guys, we will show the viewers the truth about what Jesus really meant and what he wanted. And our exclusive findings are all verified by Oxford University professors and doctors. It is an exploration of all the world's religions, including Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism. We unveil why the world's religions have hidden the truth from their people. The film and the truth will shock you to the core. Okay, well, I'm ready to be shocked. Go for it. What do you guys think about this? I don't know. To me, this is a typical, I guess is what I'm saying. Let's see. Superfluity, are you on there? Good for you. Good morning to you. I didn't get to say hi to you. Same red heifers, the Pentecostal church said. Yes. Yes, they're the same heifers from the 80s. Yes. Sunsparkle, you say you don't think they will tear Christianity down. You think that they'll be taking religions to task over how people aren't actually following the tenets of the religions with regards to animals. Do you? I mean, because to me, that guy seems to give me a sense of he's kind of on the liberal train of saving the planet, saving the oceans, saving the whales, saving all of the things, and definitely not saving God or Christ or Christianity. But I could be wrong. Yes, Sunsparkle, God does say he repeatedly despises the sacrifices, but he says that in the context of the people having fallen away from him. That is in the context of the Israelites being already dispersed to Babylon because of their wickedness, and yet they still are trying to sacrifice animals and do these things even when they're practicing pagan practices. And so it's like a slap in the face to God. So God is saying, I despise your sacrifices, all of your feasts. I despise them now. And the reason he despises them is because of their sin, because they do it as a practice, but their heart is nowhere near God. There's no holiness, no righteousness in it for them any longer. And so that's why he despises their sacrifices at that point in the scripture. Even when they had come back into Jerusalem and rebuilt the temple and the city and the walls, they were still corrupt by their Babylonian practices. So, yeah. Sounds like we're going to be talking about the Jews and sacrifices and and Israel all day today. Sounds like it. I can't really, so I won't pretend to know exactly Sunsparkle or anybody else. I don't pretend to know what they're exactly going to say, but it's interesting. It sounds interesting. I think this is the kind of thing that everyone who sees it should go in and really be discerning, really be careful about what they're listening to, and be thinking as you watch that kind of a video. These guys, documentaries are made for a sole purpose. They have a postulate, a theory they're trying to present and convince you that it is correct. And so you need to do your best, number one, in a documentary to recognize what's the theory they're trying to push on me. And then number two, when they're telling me things are this or things are that, or this person says that, or this is that way, you need to know, is that verifiable? Can I look that up? What's the source for that? Because if they don't give it, then you're left with a quandary. Do you just take these people at their word, or are you going to do the work to find out yourself? And so that to me is the sign of a good documentary or a good video on a subject, like I try to do. When you see the next video and my previous one on the Cataclysm of Rome, you're going to see me mentioning sources the whole time, trying to do my best to give you the information you need to come to the same conclusions. So I would just say in a documentary situation, especially one like this, you need to have your eyes wide open and you need to be evaluating everything that's said. Don't let them get away with going down a list of things that you should just accept that are supposed to support their premise and not justifying them with sources or backup. There's a lot of documentaries like that, and it's not good. So just be careful. That's all I can say. I'm definitely going to watch it, though, if I can remember. So what else are you guys talking about here? Sunsparkle, yeah, I agree. Respecting earth and creation is not at war with Jesus or his sacrifice or message. Yes, that's true. I would say this, though. There's a variety of views and levels of that, right? So, for instance, let's say here's something that gets on my nerves. um, some people, for instance, when we talk about animals, some people value the lives of animals over the lives of humans. And they wouldn't say that to your face, but it's true. When you see their actions and the way they act and the things they say to people that, they say, oh, well, there will be people that believe you shouldn't eat an animal because it's killing an animal. Well, that's not what the Bible says at all. The Bible says that we are to steward the animals. We are to steward the nature in a good way, like you said, in a good way to take care of it, but also to steward it and use it as is fit for us. And so, there's nothing wrong with the current practices of hunting and gathering and, eating animals as food. There's just nothing wrong with that stuff. But I agree with you that we do need to obviously take care of our environment. There's nothing wrong with that. We need to be good stewards of the things God has given to us. And I think if most of us had our way, there would be no problem with that. It's when we get to like a corporate level and we start looking at the entities that are making money and the ways in which they farm or the ways in which they do not steward the land, the ways they overfish different areas in the world. That does happen. I mean, that's true. So, it's such a touchy subject for some people, and it's so hard to just talk about it. But in general, I think most people, even though in a public setting they would argue on the finer points, most people agree we should take care of nature. We shouldn't destroy things. I think most everybody agrees with that. So to me, it's like, I don't know. Anyway, just thought I'd blab a little bit there. Let's see what else you guys are talking about. John Jones, you say lab-grown meat requires propaganda. Lab-grown meat is absolutely disgusting. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to do my best to never touch that. Never touch it, let alone eat it. Oh my gosh. Oh. All right. I think you guys have had some little comments in there. Oh, Sunsparkle, you said that you don't think Yahweh is the father of Jesus. I do take issue with that, but I won't argue with you about it here. I just, I've done a video or two on it. Oh, let's see. Well, I did one debunking of a guy named Paul Wallace, and I took that video down for a few reasons. I felt like if I was going to do that, I was going to redo it and handle it better. It was good either way. Actually, let me see something. Might still have that somewhere. Oh, come on. No, I don't have that up anywhere. But I do have it in one video. Let's see, a different video. I debunked another guy online that was doing that same thing. Let me see if I can find that for you. I just want to find it for you in case you're interested. Okay, let's see here. Yeah. So, Sunsparkle, I got a little mad about this guy that I'm sending you the video about, but I felt like it's still a pertinent and good video, and the information is excellent. So if you are you feel like you've heard and learned that Yahweh was not the father of Jesus, then I encourage you to watch this video. I just posted in the chat there. I get a little heated because I'm upset in that video, but it's also very good information. So I hope that you would listen to what I say in that video. The main argument against that idea, by the way, Sunsparkle, the number one argument is that Jesus quoted literal verses in the Septuagint even that literally have Yahweh in it. Even the Septuagint, copies of the Septuagint had the Tetragrammaton in them, many of them. So it literally is the same writings as the Old Testament, and Jesus quoted verses that the Old Testament uses the Tetragrammaton in. And in both the Septuagint and the Masoretic, the Tetragrammaton is used. So there's no sense in which it makes sense that that is not the Father that Jesus was referring to. Whether you dislike the name Yahweh or not, or you dislike the Tetragrammaton usage, I don't know what to say. Jesus quoted verses, many verses, like upwards of 20 or something from the Old Testament that had the Tetragrammaton in it. So that's the main argument. There's others, but in that video I go through a lot of that. But anyway. So let's see here. What else? I think we may move on then from the movie Christspiracy, which maybe I'll see some point, and then I'll maybe do a report on it if it sparks my interest. So let's move on then. The next topic is, I'll call it this. Loving an unlovable person. Maybe that's the way I can word what you said, homemaker calling. I don't know. Is that appropriate? Loving the unlovable. You said you had a neighbor that's just vile and you can't stand them or something like that. It's not easy. I'll start out with that. It's not easy. Now, there's levels of vileness. That's what I think is important. There's levels of vileness. If it's just that they're gross people and you don't like them very much, that's one thing. If they're openly attacking you or being evil to you in some way, that's different. If they're just annoying, that's different. There's all these different things that are always hard to deal with. And I think, everyone has to make a decision as to how they're going to deal with certain people in their lives, based on a lot of different things. You mentioned, homemaker calling, that you wouldn't want these people around your children. It's like every interaction is negative, saying the worst curse words in front of your children. So I guess, homemaker, by saying that, it sounds to me like you see them interacting with their children. That's what probably bothers you the most, that they are kind of nasty people. They don't have any couth, so to speak, and they also treat their children in a way, or expose them to things you wouldn't want to happen to your children. Yeah. I mean, that's a really hard one, because, if they're not openly being, doing things to you or your property or anything like that, you can't, it's hard to juxtapose yourself into their lives and then comment on what they're doing. So in some way it might help them or change them. Yeah, it's tough. And I don't know. I've seen people get angry in those kinds of situations, like where, let's say you're out in public and you see a parent, poorly treating their child, and you step in and say, hey, that child doesn't deserve that kid, leave him alone. I've seen that go pretty badly, but I think sometimes that's appropriate. Sometimes it's appropriate to say something. Now, in the case of using curse words in front of a child, honestly, there's not much you're going to do to change those people's minds, especially if, you're on the outside of their lives. That's one of the hardest parts about it, is when you're on the outside, you can't you can't expect anyone that's to listen to you, to listen to what you would say. So the hardest part is to really speak to someone in their life and cause change. It really requires some interaction, some connection. They have to see you as a authoritative person to even give ear to what you're going to say. So, yelling at them across the street, that's not going to do anything. It's not going to help, obviously. But, it's a really tough thing. And it's really hard to sit there and watch that happen to kids, right? I know that. That is true. You say you're worried about how their language would affect your children. Yeah. I worried about that too with my children, and I'm trying to imagine that same scenario. We didn't have that scenario where, like, if my kids were out in the yard, they would hear someone cursing their head off in the next yard. We didn't have that kind of a thing going on. But there are situations where your children are hearing or being exposed to things, and you're like, I don't want them to see that. I don't want them to hear that. But at some level, there are some things you can remove your kids from, and make sure they don't see. Like, you want to go to that R-rated movie? You want to go to that movie that has nudity and sex and violence and whatever in it? No, we're not going to do that. That's not for you. That's not going to happen. So there's things you can control like that. Now, being out in public and hearing other people, that's tough to control. You're probably not going to control that. And so at some level, you're going to have to allow the children to hear it and then discuss it with them and tell them, when people talk that way, they sound like they're stupid, and I don't want you to ever sound stupid. So please don't ever talk that way. And, little kids will understand that kind of a thing. And then they'll also understand, and by the way, if you ever talk like that, you will be disciplined big time. That's not a small thing. It's so hard. Interesting, homemaker. You say that you've given your neighbors farm fresh eggs and it's their curse words in front of your children. That's the hardest thing. You say you pick up their trash, try to show God's love, but you're worried about your children. Yeah. Well, I guess, homemaker, I would have to say, it looks like, from what you're saying, you're balancing the possibility of your reaching out to those people, helping them in some way. You're balancing that against the well-being of your children. So it's a decision that no one can make for you. But at some point you have to, I guess, decide, is the risk to my children outweighing the possibility of helping those people? To me, if it feels like that's happening, then to me there would be no question I would want to protect my children, right? So I would fully understand if you wanted to cut those people off and not mess with them anymore, stay away. But if I don't know what kind of rapport you have with them, it may be something where you could say, look, I don't want my kids around because they're hearing all these words that we don't agree with using, and we don't agree with that kind of talk. We don't agree with that kind of speech. I can't allow my kids to be around anymore, and so I'm not mad at you, but I can't do it, and see what they say. I mean, if you have that kind of rapport and you can do that kind of a thing with them, that might help them. They might be like, wow, we didn't even realize or think. But if they're not the kind of people that would even like make that kind of a determination, they may not have the brain cells to do that. They may just be like, well, F you, if that's how they are, then you have to cut off contact. You just have to stay away from them. I mean, it's reasonable to set boundaries that protect your family. So, yeah. You're getting lots of advice, homemaker. Good. Well, what y'all talking about shooting? Are you gonna shoot somebody? Yeah, my wife asked me about learning to shoot, and I after a while of talking about it, I don't think she really cares. I don't think she wants to learn. It's a good thing to learn. It's a lot of fun too. I'm not saying you should need that kind of force in this type of situation at all, but mm. Yeah, Gerald, that's a really good point. I really like your comment there. Praying with your children about it is a good lesson for them. So, homemaker, I guess the question would be, have you had your children pray with you for these people? Help them understand that it's a big issue, it's a problem for them. Maybe they're at the age where they could do that. I don't know. It's interesting. Homemaker, you'll sit on the patio with your gun, huh? Well, if it takes that, I hope it doesn't come to anything dire. Interesting. Okay. All right, you guys want to move on to the red heifer? Here we go. Let's do the red heifer. I hope I spelled heifer right. I don't write or type the word heifer a lot. Let's see. So, let me share my screen. We're going to start digging into the red heifer. Because I probably knew more about this when I was a Protestant dispensationalist, but now, should we go to Wikipedia? Maybe we should. The red heifer offering instructions are in Numbers 19. Well, I want to go straight there then. Let's go. Numbers 19. Heifer. Okay. Moses spoke to Aaron, saying, the ordinance of the law which the Lord had commanded, speak unto the children of Israel, they bring a red heifer without spot, give her to Eleazar the priest, to bring her forth out of the camp, and slay her before his face, before the face of the high priest. They would kill the red heifer outside the camp. This is interesting. And Eleazar would take the blood with his finger and sprinkle the blood directly before the tabernacle of the congregation 7 times. Okay. And one shall burn the heifer in his sight, her skin, her flesh, and blood, and dung shall he burn. The priest will take cedar wood, hyssop, scarlet, cast in the midst of the burning of the heifer. The priest shall wash his clothes, bathe his flesh in water, afterwards shall come into the camp, and the priest shall be unclean until the evening. And he that burns her shall wash his clothes in water, bathe his flesh in water, and be unclean until the evening. A man that is clean shall gather the ashes of the heifer, lay them up outside the camp, in a clean place, and it shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel for a water of separation, a purification for sin. Okay. And he that gathers the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening, shall be unto the children of Israel and unto the stranger that sojourns among them a statute forever. Okay. He that touches the dead body of a man shall be unclean 7 days. Okay, so that's the end of the heifer's discussion. Is just, well, let's see. Wait a second. No, it continues. Okay, let's not miss this. He that touches the dead body of a man will be unclean 7 days. He'll purify himself with it, meaning the heifer's ashes, on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he shall be clean. Wow, guys, I just wish I think that we could dig into this. We could dig into this ritual. I'm just saying. Then the seventh day, oh no, I'm sorry. The seventh day he shall not be clean. Oh, I'm sorry. He purifies himself on the third day with the ashes. On the seventh day he will be clean. But if he does not purify himself the third day, then on the seventh he is not clean. Whosoever touches the dead body of any man that is dead and purifies not himself defiles the tabernacle of the Lord and would be cut off from Israel. Because the water of separation was not sprinkled on him, he shall be unclean. His uncleanness is yet upon him. If a man dies in the tent, all that come in the tent, and the tent itself is unclean 7 days. Every open vessel is no covering bound on it is unclean. Whosoever touches one that's slain with a sword in the open fields, or a dead body, or a bone of a man, or grave, shall be unclean 7 days. For an unclean person they shall take the ashes of the burnt heifer of purification for sin, and running water shall be put thereto in a vessel. And the person will take hyssop, dip it in the water, and sprinkle it upon the tent and the vessels and the persons that were there. And he that touched the bone, or the slain, or the dead, or a grave, and the clean person shall sprinkle upon the unclean on the third day, and on the seventh day. And on the seventh day purify himself, and wash his clothes, and bathe himself in the water. But the man who is unclean will not purify himself, and will be cut off from the congregation. It will be a perpetual statute to them. He that sprinkles the water of separation shall wash his clothes, and touches the water of separation shall be unclean till evening. Whoever that person, or whatever that person touches, will be unclean until evening. Okay. That's very interesting. So the red heifer in the Bible sounds like a ritual of cleansing, purification. Now, I could probably spend a lot of time trying to deconstruct the 3 days versus the 7 days and what it all means, and the water and all of that. But I think for our intents and purposes, especially in regards to the third temple, what we really need to do is examine this in light of the newest prophecies that are being talked about. One thing I also want to do real quick is I'll search the Bible for red heifer. And yeah, there's only one place in the Bible that talks about a red heifer, and that's what we just read. Yeah, these others are not the red heifer, they're just a heifer. Numbers 19 is it. So, what are you guys saying? What are you thinking so far in the chat? Let me look and see what you're saying. Let's see. John Jones, you retracted everything you said. So I don't know what you said, but that's okay. I will allow the retraction. Israel couldn't even provide their own sacrifice, had to import it from Texas. Oh my gosh, Stacia. Oh, you guys. Terry Barnes, you say, wow, we have a funeral services with open casket inside chapels and sanctuaries all over the country. Are we wrong or obsolete ritual? Well, Terry, I would say that these are instructions for the Israelites. God gave them to the Israelites. So I do not think they're for us. And I know a lot of people would take argument. And in fact, I mean, Terry Barnes, all you have to do is look at the early Christians. They knew right off the bat they didn't have to do any of this stuff. None of it. So, and they even talk about it in their writings. Like, we're not supposed to do that. So, I go with that. John Jones, you say, each time the ritual was done, they would save some ashes and mix the previous ones to be mixed in the future. The old first and second temple mixed ashes were found in the Betharaba Qumran. Okay. So you say they found some ashes like this in the caves? That's kind of cool. That's very cool. Yeah, Julie Patchouli. Jesus was the end of the sacrifices. He was the end. No, Julie, there's no more sacrifices. There's never going to be any sacrifices needed. No more. But yeah, we're talking about the ones that the modern day Jews are talking about doing. They're talking about this red heifer and it being some precursor to the temple. And so that's what we haven't touched on yet, and I'm about to try to get there. I just wanted to see kind of what you guys were thinking about what we read there. So we read Numbers 19. That's all about the red heifer as it was described, to Moses from God and then to Aaron. And so there you have that. Now let's go over and see if we can find more information about the red heifer in regards to the temple. So a red heifer, according to Jewish tradition, conforms with all the requirements imposed by halakha. Is practically a biological anomaly. Interesting. So I guess just to say it's a very rare, red heifer is very rare to have. For example, the animal must be entirely of one color. A series of tests by the sages must be performed, and the hair of the cow must be absolutely straight to ensure that the cow had never been yoked. This would be a disqualifier. Interesting. According to Jewish tradition, only 9 red heifers were actually slaughtered in the period extending from Moses to the destruction of the second temple. Mishnah Para recounts them, stating that Moses prepared the first, Ezra the second, then Simeon the just, Johanan the high priest, Elionai ben Hakayap, and Elias Ishmael ben Phabas each prepared one. The extreme rarity of the animal combined with a detailed ritual have given the red heifer special status in Jewish tradition. See this, guys, I think we're going to keep hearing this word Jewish tradition over and over and over again, because I think that's what most of this comes down to in regards to the third temple. I think it's tradition. It's oral tradition. It's things they did that weren't in the Mosaic law, to be honest. Let's see. The state of ritual purity obtained through the ashes of the red heifer is necessary prerequisite for participating in temple service. See, I don't understand that, because it doesn't say that, does it? It says here it's a purification for sin. But there were other purifications also. So I don't see how this statement here is correct, that the red heifer was required for temple service by the priests. Maybe there was that idea or concept and I'm just not getting it, but it doesn't seem that the temple is not even mentioned here at all. But I mean, it is given as a practice that the priest would do, but also the priest would prepare for other people to do. So this was for the purification of any of the people, really, it sounds like, specifically, according to this, if anyone touches a dead body. That's what it sounds like in Numbers 19 to me. If it touches a dead body, these people must be purified by perhaps this red heifer's ashes. And I don't know. To me, it sounds like the entire purpose of the red heifer ashes and the purification is the reason the priests are doing it is so that this purification exists for people that have touched a dead body. In fact, I'm not sure that people who had touched a dead body and were unclean were allowed into the camp. So that's why this had to be outside the camp, right? I don't know. This is just, to me, is what I see here. Okay, so let's go back, continue on here to see if we can get to the temple. Efforts have been made in modern times by Jews wishing for biblical ritual purity and in anticipation of the third temple to locate a red heifer and recreate the ritual. However, multiple candidates have been disqualified. The Temple Institute says, Some opinions maintain that the newer ashes were always mixed together with a combination of the previous ashes. One way of understanding this is to view the mixture of old and new ashes as being yet another precautionary measure. Additionally, mixing the newer ashes we have produced now at those from olden times is a way of connecting through time with the original heifer that was slaughtered and prepared by Moses. As such, in a sense, it's a way of connecting with the level of Moses himself, whatever the level of Moses means. The Jews are so weird, man. So I don't know this. I guess we can make the assumption that, and you guys can pipe in if you think I'm wrong here. It sounds to me like modern Jews see this purification as something that connects them back to Moses. And because of that connection and the sacrificial system that was put in place back then and practiced by their ancestors, quote unquote, that they now feel that the red heifer is the only way to purify themselves for service in the new third apostate temple. That's what it sounds like to me. Is that kind of what you guys are getting from this? Or do you know anything more about the red heifer? To me, that's what it sounds like, that they just see the red heifer as a purification ritual that would prepare a priest for the temple service in the new temple and also connects them back to the Mosaic tradition. Yeah, Tomcat, it's funny, like you're saying, the Christians are the ones losing their minds over it, saying Jesus is about to come, and it's very confusing. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Squiffy, you should send them a moose. I think. I wonder what a Jew would say to a moose. I wonder. Excuse me. By the way, be prepared in case YouTube deletes some comments. I've had experiences on these lives where comments that include the Jews specifically may get moderated in a way I don't see and can't change. So I don't understand why that happens. But yes. It starts, let's see, Rafa, you say it starts by finding the way to sacrifice the best animal every year to having and adding a lot of rules that have nothing to do with God's law, and Jesus rebuked them for it. What happens to all these Christians when Jesus doesn't come back? Right, Squiffy Bear? Will they lose their minds? I don't know, Squiffy. It's like, what will it take? You know, I don't know what the trigger point will be for those Christians. If they can't, to me, understand what God has done and where we really are in history, I don't think they're going to get it. They're going to keep pushing it out. They're going to say, oh, I was wrong. Well, maybe the mid-tribbers are the right ones. And then when, I don't know, maybe when something bad happens to them, they think they're being tribulated, that they're going to say, no, it must be post-trib now. It's going to be after the tribulation. Oh, God help us. God help us get through, you know? That seems to be the game plan. You know, 1948, by the way, do you remember? No, you weren't alive then. I don't think many of us were alive in 1948 here. But if you were, you would remember that they freaked out because the Jews were coming back into the land and establishing the nation. It was, quote, official, right? Official for the Rothschilds. But anyway, it was official, and so everyone started saying, Jesus is coming back now. It's happening. You know, they thought that then. So I don't know what is the trigger point for them to be like, wait, he didn't come back. I don't know if there is one. I don't know if there really is one. I think that mindset, because I was there, I think that mindset will continue to push that out in the future if, you know, things continue to happen. They just won't ever give it up. So that's my opinion, but anyway. Yeah, Terry, we go meet him on our deathbeds like all the others that went before us. I agree. Yeah, we is given for every man to die once. Do you guys? So hear the power of that statement, and I won't go to the Bible to find that verse, but it says essentially that every man will die once, and then what does it say? Then the resurrection or whatever. Then the whatever. So that being true, we're gonna die. That's enough. I haven't even thought about that, but that's actually an argument against the rapture. The Bible says for every man it is appointed once to die. For every man and woman. I don't know. That's hard to get by. So then the rapture believers believe that they're going to go to heaven and not have to die. And we've had generations of those kinds of people who have now died and gone to heaven. So I don't know what it'll take. I don't know what it'll take people to start changing their minds on that. But, we're doing the best we can here too. So I think it's just about learning and teaching and all that. We do the best we can. Homemaker, you said you and your husband talked about that yesterday. Even the truthers are falling for lies, but God is still faithful. Wrong date said again. Yep. Yeah, Terry Barnes. Elijah and Enoch, though, it's interesting. We have those early Christian writings that said they came back in the first century and were killed. And so they each died also. That's what they say. So without any way to verify that or show you any kind of history that says that, it's an interesting thing we need to consider that likely is that they will die. They have or will have died too. So Enoch and Elijah will die or have died. I think it's in the past, obviously. So have died because they came as the two witnesses, essentially, in Revelation. Stacia, you say the irony. I'm down here. I'm down for the left behind. So many will have their elect sainthood destroyed. Squiffy, you say it just looks like an easy get out for you. So they don't have to fight the good on behalf of God. The good fight on behalf of God. Yeah, Squiffy, I think that's what it boils down to. I don't think that anyone in it would say that or realize it, but I think that's the truth. It's the perpetual waiting. It's like we're not doing, we're waiting because it's going to happen soon. Oh my, the red heifer. We got to wait a little longer. Oh, it's getting bad out there, guys. It's exactly what we thought. We're scared now. We're going to stay in our homes and wait longer, wait more, not do anything. And yeah, I think you're right on that assessment. So Jarrett Ford, you say your comments aren't showing up, and Selene, you say yours are not showing up. So that's why, by the way, that's why I show the comments. I'm showing them. I'll show you. I'm showing your comments from my dashboard when I'm streaming. They're not coming onto my dashboard. So I can't approve them if they're getting blocked. And I do believe that YouTube blocks people for saying things that it doesn't like. I went in this week in my settings to try to see if there was some additional moderation I could turn off. And there was nothing that I hadn't already really turned off. So I can only say, yeah, it may depend on the words you're using. If YouTube doesn't like what you're saying, then they'll just stop you from posting it. Apparently, just they put it in purgatory because the Pope is behind it anyway. But just be aware that that's something I cannot control. And as long as we're on YouTube, it's going to be your free speech is limited on YouTube because YouTube is communist. So, Selene, you said you mentioned Luciferianism. Yeah. I apologize. I really wish it wasn't that way. All right. I want to do one more search on the red heifer just to see if there's a Jewish source that's like all jazzed about the red heifer. Let's see. From Texas to Israel. Like you said, Stacia, they're getting Texas red heifers. Look at that Jew. He's inspecting that heifer. I think he likes that heifer. Yeah, so that's true. They do believe that this level of purification, the red heifer purification, must be done in order for the priests to carry out work in the future temple. That's kind of what we came to. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. It's interesting too that all these news outlets are reporting on it. So to me, that's also important. Well, this one was from a couple years ago. Let's see. I want to do search over the past week on red heifers. Not too much. Not too much. Massive altar for the red heifer sacrifice constructed in Israel. Really? Oh, I saw this. I saw a picture of this the other day. You guys see this thing? Apparently this is the red heifer ceremonial altar that the Jews have made. They're ready to kill that cow. So there's a tremendous amount of speculation this could happen soon. Very interesting. Christian News reports on it. Oh yeah, they are excited about Israel there. Interesting. So yeah, it looks like there's some buzz about this in the mainstream. So that to me is, of course, problematic in that, you know, I don't trust the mainstream. So to me, I guess what I'm saying is that the fact that it's appearing now in the news a lot more and they're talking about it more makes me feel like, well, maybe they're going to push it into occurring and start some balls rolling, and they may start trying to screw around with the temple over there. Who knows? But I do believe that's all false and all just absolutely repugnant to God. It's repugnant to God. After all he did with his son, you're going to try to build another temple and sacrifice animals? You think he likes that? I mean, come on. Stupid. Joe Carr, you mentioned this. You say, can I explain those in Christ will rise first, and then with echo remain will be caught up to meet them, paraphrasing. Yeah, those who remain. Yeah, I think, Joe, I would, like Squiffy Bear said, I do have lots of videos talking about that. I don't think I'll just go through that right now. But what I'll do, Joe, is let me get the video that I think you would want to see on that, because I go on that verse specifically. So let me get that. I'll put let me not do that. Hold on. I'll get the video and I'll post it in the chat for you, so you can get at it real easily. Let's see, Bible Scribe. All right, let me just find that real quick for him. Thank you, Joe, for joining, by the way. I always like to answer questions, but I have answered that one many times, so I think I would just rather refer you to the video. It's got a lot more information in it, and it'll help you a lot. A second. All right, here we go. That link is for you, Joe Carr, and anyone else. It's called "How Can We Know the Second Coming Already Happened?" That there. Oh, you know what? There's another one I think that I actually wanted to send you. Let's see here. Sorry, guys. I just want to make sure Joe has what he needs to understand my viewpoints on this. I think, yes, no rapture in 1 Thessalonians 4. That is the one I meant to send. But both of them probably talk about that. So that second link, Joe Carr, is the one that talks about that verse, those verses specifically. Okay, goes through them line by line. Stephanie, good morning to you. It's good to see you. All right, let's go on to our next topic then. Well, here, so Joe Carr, let me do this real quick. I want to do this for you real quick, just so you hear it. You know, you can hear it, and then you can go to the video. You can see all the information. So let's do this real quick. What about? How did you put it, Joe? Those who remain being caught up. I'll do this in 5 minutes. No problem. Let's just do it. So that verse in Thessalonians, it says, I'll go to it real quick here. Real quick. 1 Thessalonians 4. So let's share my screen and I'll show it to you real quick. I'll give you the basics. Since you already know a little bit, Joe Carr, that's the point. Because you already know a little bit and you're at least open, I'll tell you the main points. If you weren't a little open to the ideas, at least discussing it, then I would have just referred you to the video. But since you're a little open to it, let's do it real quick and I'll show you the main points. So I'll go over here to the Bible, 1 Thessalonians, is it 4? I always fumble around with the exact verse. Yeah, it's 4. There it is. Okay, down here at the bottom. I would not have you be ignorant, brethren, concerning those that are asleep, that you sorrow not over those as those that have no hope. Now he's talking to the dead, their brothers and sisters that had died because of the persecution of the Romans and at some level the Jews. Then he's telling them this because he wants them to be comforted by it, right? If we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so, those that are dead in Christ, God will bring with him. So that's part of the comfort here. This we say to you by the word of the Lord. Those that are, meaning the Jesus told us this. He said, those are alive that are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord would not go before those that are asleep. The ones that have died are going to end up being with the Lord before those of you who are sitting here alive, or those that are alive at the time he comes. So this is about the first century. This is prior to 70 AD. The church is growing in all these different areas around Palestine and others into the Mediterranean. And these Christians are afraid because of what is coming. They've heard about it. They know it's coming. The Romans are already persecuting them in many areas of the empire. And their expectation is really that they most likely would be martyred for their beliefs. So they're scared. They're like, we've got relatives that are dead. What's going to happen? Are we going to be with the Lord? And are they? And what's going to happen? So this is the discussion that's being had here with Jesus. The Lord will descend from heaven with a shout, the voice of the angel, the trump of God. The dead in Christ will rise first. So when he comes back, and this to me is absolutely 70 AD. He was in the clouds. There was a shout. There was a voice of an angel and the trump of God. All these things occurred. And the dead in Christ rose at that time. And then verse 17. Now, remember, it's talking about those that are alive and remain. And it uses this word here, then. Well, the word then here is actually a Greek word that it has no time reference whatsoever. It just means afterwards, at some point. And I in my video that I sent you, the second one of the two, I go into different verses around the New Testament that use that word to mean years worth of time or months or days. And so it's not immediate. It doesn't mean immediacy. But it says afterwards, essentially, or hereafter, those that are alive at that time would be caught up together with them. Meaning, when you die, you're going to be caught up with them as well into the heavens to meet the Lord, so shall we ever be with the Lord. This is the comfort that Christ gave them at that time, so that they knew they would be with their loved ones. They knew their loved ones wouldn't go up and they would then go to hell or Hades. They all of these concepts were floating around in their minds, trying to figure out what's going to happen when and how do we know we're going to see our loved ones again. So in verse 18, comfort one another with these words. This is what these verses are about. Comforting them that, yes, your loved ones that are dead will go, and when you die, you go. But if you're alive when I come, they're going to go first. That's really what this is about. And the concept of some rapture event where live people fly up to heaven is nowhere to be found in the scriptures. Nowhere is that explained or talked about or ever discussed. And it was not in the mind of the believers at this time period. There's no ancient writings that I've ever read from this time period that talk about that kind of an event or the ideas of that. There's no prophecy about it. There is prophecy, however, about resurrection, meaning the dead going to heaven. When you die, you go to heaven. So they just didn't have the concept of the modern rapture theory, and it isn't presented here if we understand the way the Greek is actually talking and what these people were after, which was comfort that they would be with their loved ones in the end. So did that take 5 minutes or was that longer? I did my best. That was a good, I appreciated Joe Carr because I like to explain that stuff. I don't want you feeling like you can't come and ask questions. Generally, though, I try to take all the topics at the beginning so that we have a plan and all that. But again, I hope that helps. And the links should also give you more information there. All right. What are we doing next? Let's see here. What time is it? Oh, it's late. Oh my goodness, it's late. We did the red heifer. I think we only have one left, and that is Laura Massoud, Judeo-Christian. What are my thoughts on the use of the term Judeo-Christian? Let's just put it that way. Thoughts on Judeo-Christian. Because that's actually a really good thing to talk about more, especially in light of what we're talking about, the red heifer. You know, I mean, I'm going to always talk from my gut, right? I'm going to always talk from what I believe. And I'm going to try to be honest with you guys. I believe kind of what Tomcat is saying is somewhat of an oxymoron. I'm not sure where the term honestly came from, Laura Massoud. I'm not sure why anyone ever would say the term Judeo-Christian. Now, I know that a lot of times that word is used when you're talking about history, historical studies, you know, when you're talking about Judeo-Christian peoples, you know, you're including anything that spawned out of Jewish, you know, the Jewish or Hebrew belief system. So it is a valid word in a sense for describing certain religions of the world in bulk. You know, we're talking about Jews, Christians, all the Christian cults, all the derivative Jewish kind of sects, all of that, denominations. You can at least have a conversation with someone and call all of that Judeo-Christian belief systems, right? As a very broad term. But as far as calling individuals Judeo-Christian, like, I think that the word is overused. And I think that you should not use that word really in regards to a person, an individual, and saying you have a Judeo-Christian belief system, unless that's truly the type of belief system you have. If you are a Christian who practices the Jewish rituals, feasts, sacrifices to the best of your ability, even though you don't have a temple, and you do all that, then perhaps you are a Judeo-Christian. In my opinion, right? So Now, to me, the sad part is that most of like modern Western Christianity calls itself Judeo-Christian. And I think the reason they do that is because they want that association with Israel. They want the Jewish association. They think it is a badge of honor. And of course, that's how it has been presented to us by our handlers, right? That it is a badge of honor to be Judeo-Christian. It is a badge of honor for you as a Christian to service the Israel nation, to send your money to Israel organizations, to support them at a political and public level. That is a, quote, badge of honor in Christianity these days. Now, it's not on this channel. But yeah, I just think that it is a word that may have been started to become a tool in the bag of tricks of the Zionists to cause you to associate your Christianity with Judaism. And if they can get you to do that, then they can force you to support Zionism and the nation of Israel, no matter what the cost. Because if they can convince you that they are still the same nation that God said that any nation that cursed you would be cursed, or any man that cursed you would be cursed, if they can convince you that they are that nation still, then you will do everything in your power to support them as a nation and as Zionist goals. And that's the tragedy of it all, really, is that they use these tools in their arsenal, and they have such a huge arsenal. Of course, the media follows them lockstep. And so if they say, the term Judeo-Christian should be used as much as possible, well, then the media is going to do that over and over and over again because they do control most of it. So I don't know. Does that sit well with y'all? Do you understand that? What else do you think about it? Yeah, Laura, like they're our older brother, perhaps. And then Stacia, you have talked before a lot. I think it maybe strikes a chord with you, the fact that our practices in the modern churches generally resemble some of the temple practices. We have an altar. We have a pastor or a priest that stands in front and tells us all what to think, tells us what to do, essentially maybe even purifies us with their practices in the church building that we apparently need to go to, right? And we need to support with our money, all this stuff. I know that, Stacia, you've talked a lot about that it resembles the Jewish practices so much that, temple worship 2.0. Maybe 3.0, huh? I don't know. Yes, I know, precurious. I am definitely saying particular keywords that they don't want me saying. I know that. Thing is, it's interesting, is I'm able somehow to do it. And you guys can't type it, but I can do it. We'll see how that works. I'm sure at some point I may say something that they just kind of can, but so far so good. I've had a few, by the way, I've had a few videos that have been scrubbed, obviously, for things like this or similar topics. All I can say is I do my best to consider how that's going to result, like what might happen if I post certain things. You know, the interesting thing about it, Selene, if you're still on, you said they blocked your comments about Luciferianism. I had a video I did on, I think it was called How I Know That the Rulers of the World Are Satanists. They blocked that video, and it was literally just a compilation of testimonies from people that testified to that fact, that the rulers of the world are indulging in Satanistic practices. So very interesting that is the case, right? But yeah, I think, Laura, your topic, your consideration of the Judeo-Christian mindset is very well received and very pertinent. I wish we could snap more people out of it. You know, I really wish we could. snap more people out of the quote Judeo-Christian mindset, perhaps. But Julie, you said you left your church because they were promoting Samhain. I assume by that you mean Halloween. Yeah. Stacia, you don't mince words. Maybe we're done with mincing words. That's kind of why I'm like you said just a second ago. What was it, you, Jarrett? Yeah, you said thank you for the uncensored real talk. I do my best with that because I think that I think I'm done with faking it, right? I'm not going to fake it any longer. I think we're all done with it, kind of. So, if I wasn't, by the way, if I ended up getting blocked here, I would simply move YouTube. I'd move everything to Rumble. I would also mirror probably on a couple other platforms at that point if that happened. So just so you guys are aware, if that ever happens and I get canned, if I get the 3 strikes and you're out kind of thing, it's gonna be It's gonna be on. They're gonna wish they'd never done it, because I've done that before, by the way, with my Psy-Cry work. If any of you guys know about that stuff, it's another channel. It's on Rumble. It used to be on YouTube, was canned, but it's on Rumble and other platforms. BitChute. It's on Telegram. But that work got blocked. I had to move the channel, and they know, by the way, if they do that again with this channel, I'm gonna explode it as best I can as soon as they do it. So it's not really in their best interest to screw around anymore, I don't think, but that's just me. And that is that. So well, guys, I think based on the time, we probably need to can it today and move forward with our day and our week. I appreciate all you guys' participation, every single one of you. And I thank you so much for what you contribute here. I mean, you see in the chat, we are all together in this. We're working together. So the topics were interesting today, some that I learned about here. So I hope that helped you in just talking about them, researching a little bit. But definitely fun. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me on the late start. And by the way, guys, please, we didn't do it earlier, but if you have a prayer request you need to make known, please put it in the chat as quickly as you can here before the stream ends, so that I can see that and maybe get that on our prayer, to our prayer group, so we can pray for you. Please let me know if there's anything we can do. Thank you so much, and God bless all of you this week. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. Don't say anything they don't want you to.